What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to Elijah Merritt with the $50 donation to the channel via Cash App. Much respect to Elijah for showing love to this channel once again. Elijah been rocking with Too Raw for TV since 2015. That was the time that the Golden State Warriors started their ascendancy. But unlike a lot of fanboys that have come around and they mysteriously disappeared into the wilderness during the couple of years where the Warriors struggled, right, with the injuries and whatnot. He didn't do that. He stayed, saying a true blue Warrior fan, always repping his team, always bigging up Steph, always bigging up all the other players. There's only been a few, man. There's only been a few. Him, Casey, Percy Bedford comes to mind. A lot of these guys, they just disappeared, man. You know, Joe Bud is still around. Joe Bud's still around. Shout out to him too. But a lot of these guys, man, they just disappeared. Just shout out to Elijah, man, big time. Uh, he's he also respects the history of the sport. You know what I'm saying? Young, but he likes to learn more about the history of the game, and that makes for a well-rounded basketball fan, in my opinion. So shout out to Elijah for showing love to the channel. Shout out to any and everybody that wants to show love to his channel or has shown love. And if you want to do so, you can do so in the links in the description box below via the PayPal or the Cash App or in the pinned comment in the comment section. Speaking of the Warriors, Steph Curry last night showed that rule changes don't hurt his game. You know what I'm saying? Rule changes not going to stop Steph Curry from doing what he was doing. So this is something. And shout out to Ticket TV. If you're not subscribed to Ticket TV, please subscribe to Ticket TV. This is something that he brought up last night. We mentioned this off and on. These rule changes and the players' reaction, their games, and how it's affected their overall performances and their effectiveness. We got to do a whole new assessment of some of these players, man. We got to really look at these guys in a whole nother light because James Harden is not the first player to be affected by rule changes. There have been numerous rule changes throughout the history of the NBA. Okay, um, look, one thing that comes to mind is when the NBA. I'm just going to focus on Michael Jordan because everybody knows Michael Jordan. 1987, right? The 86-87 season. Michael Jordan shot almost 1,000 free throws that season. Almost 1,000 free throws. And there were a lot of teams, not just the Pistons, but a lot of teams were complaining that he was getting a lot of phantom calls, right? So what you saw from 87 to 93, every year his free throw attempts went down. His free throw attempts per game went down every year. Now, some of that was being the triangle offense later on, learning to play off the ball, and his game evolving to more of a mid range. But a lot of it too was he wasn't getting a lot of those calls anymore. You know what I'm saying? Going to the basket, you know what I'm saying? Somebody touching his, pinky finger and it's a foul. You know what I'm saying? Um, the Pistons, the league was starting to allow more physicality toward Michael. And I'm not saying that the Jordan and the league, Jordan and the Bulls didn't complain about it, but it wasn't to the point where every goddamn game Joe go like, "Hey man, hey man, I'm trying to basketball like man, you give the damn foul? Come on, you." I understand, if you're used to a certain thing, it'll be frustrating for a little bit, but goddamn, James Harden, like can't you, like, I don't get it because when James Harden was playing like about 6, 7 years ago, right? When he was playing under Kevin McHale, he didn't rely just on that shit. James Harden used to shoot threes, but he used to have a mid range. And on occasion, he would even post a guy up. What? What? Yeah, when he was playing under Coach Kevin McHale, James Harden was a more rounded scorer. But he's regressed so much under Mike D'Antoni, where he's just used to manipulating the rules and, you know what I'm saying, he's used to either driving. This is James Harden. He either, three things. When he was a little bit quicker, a little bit slightly more explosive, at least off the dribble, unimpeded layup, because of the way that the game is now. Or he might get fouled, drive to the basket. Dribble, 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 shoot, score. Or dribble, 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 fake, lean into the defender, look to the ref, foul, or hook the guy while he's driving, act like he got fouled, go to the line. Any variation of that. That's James Harden. That's not basketball, man. So I'm glad that the league did away with that shit. Trae Young was relying on that shit too much. Last year, 30% of Trae Young's points came from free throws. 30% of his points came from free throws. To make a comparison, superstar Kobe Bryant, 24% of his career points came from the free throw line. 24%. And people thought he was getting some calls, right? 30%, over 30% of Trae Young's points last year came from free throws. 56% of his points came from either free throws or threes. I think the year that James Harden averaged 36 points a game, 2/3 of his points came from either foul line or three. That's what you call a one-trick pony. Okay? Say what you want about Kevin McHale, but James Harden was a more rounded scorer. You take away the three-pointer from all other great scorers, you run them off three-point line, they'll still kill you. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're not getting foul calls, they'll kill you with the mid-range. They're still going to score. The great scorers, the George Gervins, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans. You take one thing away from them, they got other things to rely on. So to me, James Harden is not a top 75 player, man. I understand he had that all-time great scoring season, man, but he shouldn't be struggling like this. He shouldn't be struggling this badly, man. And I don't want to hear about no goddamn hamstring no fucking more, okay? I don't want to hear shit about that. People talking about, man, he got to recover from the hamstring. Did you see the injury Giannis had? Did you see the injury that Giannis suffered? We all thought he broke his mother, you know what leg, right? We thought he broke his leg. Giannis played through it, which is something AD would never do, and he's playing now. And he hasn't missed a beat. Rule changes ain't affect him. But you know, when you look at it, when you look at the guys who are scoring versus the guys who are struggling, it looks right. KD's leading the league in scoring. Paul George is right there, but that's pretty much because Kawhi's not there. So PG-13 is in the role that he's accustomed to. Okay, that's the role that he had in Indiana, the role he had in OKC. Giannis is third. You know what I'm saying? And lower, Jimmy Butler is look, Jimmy Butler looks better than James Harden this year. Man, we got to really reassess some of these players, man. We really do. We really gotta, because I don't know what's up with James Harden, bro. Ain't no, look, 1 or 2 games, all right, got a point. 1 or 2 games. 3 or 4 games into the season, all right. 5, 6 is pushing. We're in games like 10 or 11 now. He ain't hurt. So what's the problem? Not to mention, he doesn't look as, not to say he was ever like explosive, fucking like, off the dribble like AI, but I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one that noticed that he looks slower, right? So, man, I think the worst decision he made was not sign that max, because ain't no way in the hell what you're looking at right now, unless he makes a dramatic turnaround, he is not a max player at this point. And Kevin Durant is doing everything possible to put this team in a position to win. KD isn't slowing down. KD is averaging 28, 29 points a game. And mind you, KD came off the most debilitating injury you can suffer as a basketball player and didn't miss a beat. Yeah, he missed the season, but he came back and ain't missed a beat. He's only the second player in NBA history to do that, other than Dominique Wilkins. But people still crying about a hamstring injury that was suffered like 3, 4 months ago. Come on, man. 3, 4 months ago, dude just sucks, man. That's all there is to it. He's a con artist that fooled most people. Didn't fool me. He didn't fool me. I've been telling people that if you put James Harden in the '90s, he would be a 6 man coming off the bench averaging 15 points a game. And I said I doubt that he would average more than 20 points a game in the '90s. And what is he averaging about right now? About 18 points. Another thing you notice too, all these guys who were averaging 30 points a game last couple of years, 27, 30 points a game, they're all struggling from the field too. Like it's, you know, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that all these guys are struggling shooting the basketball. So it adds credence. A lot of people don't like it, but it adds credence and give us credibility when we say that in the '90s, early 2000s, these guys wouldn't be putting up the same numbers. This is evidence to support that theory, which I believe to be true. But tell me what you guys think.